early Chinese immigrants had done the hard yards in gold mining, market gardening, furniture making.
Due to their low socioeconomic status and cultural barriers, they had to pick up heavy labor work. But have you heard of Chinese laundry workers? Many of these people were ex-cabinet makers forced out of the industry due to the depression in the 1890s.
They were also impacted by a discriminatory legislation, the 1896 Factories and Shops Act in Victoria. This act specifically classified sole Chinese cabinet makers as factories instead of people and applied greater scrutiny that their European counterparts escaped. After the mid-19th century, Chinese laundry had become very popular in Australia.
In Canberra, we also have a 50-metre-long scroll at the National Museum of Australia. It portrays a vivid picture of the occupations Chinese immigrants engaged in across 200 years.
This is the Harvest of Endurance scroll. It was commissioned by the Australian Chinese Friendship Society for the Australian Bicentennial in 1988. And it was painted by a couple of artists. The chief artist was a man called Mao Zhengyi, and he was assisted by his wife, who was also a painter, Wang Zhiyan. And if we look at the painting, you'll see that it's painted in the traditional Chinese Gongbi style, which stresses meticulous brushwork and the repeated application of inks and colors.
Let's have a look. It's got the cabinet makers and the laundry workers.
Yeah. Well, laundry working is an interesting one because I'm sure there's viewers out there who remember a time, especially in Melbourne, where almost every neighborhood had a Chinese laundry.
That's right.
There was a couple of reasons why this business developed. One of the first would be that during the 19th century, people became more aware of disease transmission and the role of germs in that. And by the end of the century, you have this saying, cleanliness next to godliness. People wanted to be clean, and they wanted their clothes to be clean. And then the other aspect is that the Chinese miners who had come to Australia starting in the gold rush in the 1850s, they were known for their ability to work cooperatively. They were well organized, they worked well together. And when the gold ran out and they had to find other occupations, there was openings for them in this expanding industry of commercial laundries. So they took that on.
What happened after the end of the 19th century?
The industry started to change. It became more mechanized, more industrialized. If we look at the painting here, we can see that these men are pressing those clothes using irons that would have been heated over coal fires. By the 1920s, most laundries were using a steam frame press. And when that started to happen and when the hot water was brought about in an industrial process, those types of elements nullified the Chinese population's advantage, which was cooperation and working well together.
Now that we've explored some of the most common professions of the early Chinese migrants, let's switch to something that sits outside of the box. Let me introduce you to one of the very early slashes, Alma Kwan.
Alma was born in Rutherglen to Violet G. Chong and Charles Kwan Sr., a Chinese-born restaurateur and businessman.
Alma moved to Melbourne with her family in the 1930s, where she worked as a jazz musician and a dance teacher.
During the Second World War, Alma founded Kwan and Her Joy Bells, an all-women professional jazz band, with her sister Lorna. The band members were of mixed cultural backgrounds. They played Western instruments and wore Western outfits. As the drummer, Alma and her band played for returned soldiers in hospitals, retirement homes, and at other public functions.
Kwan and Her Joy Bells played mainstream jazz music, but occasionally they also played traditional Chinese music. This very kick drum belonged to Alma.
Alma's musical passion extended to her involvement with the Young Chinese League. Apart from performing at debutante balls, she also trained young Chinese girls for their dance routines. And she gave them lessons in etiquette too. Alma choreographed every debutante set until 1988.
Well, it's remarkable to see how Chinese Australians' choice of profession has evolved over the years.
Chinese Australians could initially only work in very limited fields, like mining, laundry, and furniture making. But eventually, these jobs gave them and their children the security to start embracing something closer to their hearts, like the way Alma did in pursuing music as a profession.
What about you? Are you enjoying what you do in your life? And how different is it from your parents' choices?